Hello, welcome to another episode of Microsoft Community Insights podcast, where we share insights from community experts to stay up to date in Microsoft. I'm Nicholas, and I'll be your host today. In this episode, we'll dive into Blazor. And just before we get started, remind you to follow us on social media so you never miss this episode. Today, we have a special guest called Jimmy Engström. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jimmy. I work as a lead developer for a company called Cab Group here in Sweden. And I've been a Microsoft MVP for 11 years now. And I am a podcaster, just like you. I have a podcast called Coding After Work podcast, where we
Yeah.
do some YouTube stuff. We're doing some audio podcasting and all of that goodness. So, yeah, that's basically me.
Okay, so you say you've been an MVP for 11 years or so, 11,
Yeah.
15 years? What category are you in?
So I started off I believe it was called Windows Development back then, and now I am in DevTech. So more transition from Windows
Yeah.
development to more Blazor basically is my speciality.
Okay, so since today theme is all about Blazor, can you give us like a background? What is Blazor? Because I've not heard about it, and how did you get into it? Fall
Yeah.
into it?
So Blazor is a web UI framework from Microsoft, and it is very similar to React or Angular or whatever, all of these different front-end frameworks
Okay.
you can think of. But what makes this special is that it is C#. So I can do front-end development using my already existing knowledge in C#. And for me, it started with a demo that I saw. I think it was at MVP Summit. Must have been 2017,
Yeah.
18 maybe. And I thought, that would be kind of cool. Doing some front-end development, making our sites and all the things that we're working with interactive, and still not have to go to TypeScript or JavaScript. And we were just a week or so before we were launching something new, our new, I think it was the CRM system, the new version of the CRM system.
Yeah.
And I talked to my colleague and I said, you know what? I saw this really cool thing. This was a year or so after MVP Summit. So at this point, Blazor was just releasing. It was must have been I think the first version was in .NET 3. Don't quote me on that. So it was just released. We were using .NET, whatever version that was. And I said to my colleague, you know what? I'm just going to show you this. Check it out. Maybe we'll use it someday. Maybe. So I showed him. This was just a very simple select box or something like that. Very, very simple. And I showed him, take a look at this. I'm using this. I'm showing, I'm getting all of this stuff happening. And I basically didn't write much code at all. And my colleague was like, but how does it, we really couldn't figure
Yeah.
out how it knew that things are going to update just because we change a couple of things. And he just said, well, this is what we're doing from now on. This is what we're going to rewrite everything. This is the platform we're going to do it with. So 7 days later, we actually went into production with that dropdown. Just that dropdown. We had a lot of stuff. We had a MVC, we had Razor pages. We didn't touch anything of that. We just introduced that single dropdown, that page, I believe, or component. And honestly, it changed our world.
Because
It was just so easy to get really cool interactive stuff out there and doing it
yeah,
fast.
because you say there's less code in React. Does it mean that you don't really need to be into programming, but you still need to know the fundamental, then you can get started in React?
In
Because
Blazor,
it's
you
still
mean?
yeah, in Blazor, sorry.
Yeah,
Because it's used, you said it used Java, right? You said?
JavaScript.
Oh, JavaScript.
I mean, compared to just to back up a little bit, we were doing MVC, we were doing Razor pages. We didn't do React, Angular, or
Yeah.
I think those were the two that were popular at that point. We started adding React in one of our pages, and it was a uphill battle because we didn't know TypeScript. We didn't know how to get everything hooked up. So it was a lot of things that we needed to learn
Yeah.
to even get there. But with Blazor, I mean, I wouldn't say there's less code, but there's a lot of things. All the boilerplate stuff is just there, it just works. When it comes to Angular and React, well, you need to know a bunch of things
Oh,
about
okay.
that we didn't know. We didn't know that. So it was a very long uphill battle for us to figure all of these things out, and that's why Blazor just was the perfect solution for us.
Yeah. So when you mention boilerplate, do you mean like templates do you use to like create new like classes or things?
I'm thinking about more setting everything up,
Okay.
because with React and Angular you need to have these JavaScript. Uh,
Dependencies.
yeah, and you need to pack JavaScript. You usually distribute it into smaller files, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that you need to understand, get in there, and kind of get this whole ecosystem around it up and running. But when it comes to Blazor, the ecosystem is .NET. There's nothing
Okay.
else you need to drag in there. There's no npm. Not no things around it. It's NuGet packages. It's the same workflow. It's in Visual Studio. You have all these workflow. If you can deploy an ASP.NET site, you can deploy a Blazor site as well.
Okay. So if someone know .NET, they can easily get to know Blazor
Yes,
because it's very similar like framework.
it is very similar. I actually did a video not that long ago talking about, do we need to know React or Angular to become Blazor developers?
Yeah.
And some people think so. They say that knowing I'm gonna paraphrase. I'm just gonna mention Angular in this case. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Angular, React, or Vue or whatever framework. But is it necessary to know Angular to become a Blazor developer? I didn't know it. I think I can manage pretty good. So no, you don't need to. There are some people that think that it is an upside. You do get some benefits of knowing Angular, just to understand how things are hooked up and how they work in the background. Basically, Angular, React, and Blazor work very similar. They have a shadow DOM in the JavaScript world. In Blazor world, it's called a render tree, but it's the same thing. It's a DOM that has all the stuff you are supposed to show on the web page, and then you have the DOM, the page that you're actually showing up.
Yeah.
And what Blazor, Angular, and React does, they're checking the shadow DOM or the render tree. They're checking the DOM. Do we have any differences between these two? Yes. Okay, let's update it. No. Okay, good. We don't have to do anything. So they are basically done the same way.
Okay. So you just compare it. If there's any differences, then you just work on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so from your experience, how would you go ahead to troubleshoot an issue with Blazor?
First of all, the really nice thing with Blazor is
Yeah,
now. I mean, I come from the .NET world,
yeah,
so it might not make sense for a JavaScript developer to go the Blazor route. I don't know, it might, but I can tell you a story later on as well. But when it comes to troubleshooting, the errors that you get are .NET errors.
okay,
You're not getting JavaScript errors. You're not getting WebAssembly errors or whatever it may be. You're getting .NET errors. That is not 100% true, but in 99% of the cases, you're actually getting .NET errors. So if you get that,
yeah.
well, then you can just Google for it or chat GPT for it or whatever
It's
your
yeah.
flavor is.
I guess it's probably harder. It's hard to find Blazor error specific to Blazor because you said .NET is one of the framework in Blazor.
Yeah. There are of course some very Blazor specific stuff, but
Yeah,
the Blazor community is large. It's not huge compared to I
yeah.
mean Angular, React, or Vue or whatever it may be, but it is definitely growing and is growing fast.
Okay. And you said w- the way you fell into Blazor by producing that demo in MVP Summit, and then you try other like languages like .NET as well, or you just chose Blazor and then you just pursue it?
Well, we did do a little bit of React and Angular and stuff like that before that,
Yeah.
but we just felt that it was too much to learn, and just seeing how well this worked with everything else was it was a no-brainer. Now, fast forward a couple of years, and we were doing a very large project. We were basically ripping out our whole backend. I
Okay.
was working at a bank at that point, and the the backend that we were using was shutting down. They were no longer going to have that service.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of banks in Stockholm, in Sweden, that were doing this move at the same time. And we were 6 developers at that point. So the whole team was 6 developers. And there were other banks, as I mentioned, doing the same move. And I mean, there were 60 developers. There were 10 times
Wow.
more developers
Yeah.
than we were. And I'm not saying that this was because of Blazor, but for us, it was definitely because we chose to do something that we already knew. So we were the first bank out of we were finished first. We didn't have a lot of problems or issues. It was not 0 issues, but it was very few. And I would say that for that project, Blazor saved us, because if we were going with React or Angular, being the .NET team that we were, we would not have made it in time.
Okay. I guess one sec. What are some of the one sec? Uh, so that's one of the way you fell into Blazor. In order to produce like high level like programming Blazor, like production ready program, do you need to know JavaScript? Do you need to use JavaScript into Blazor application, or you just write it in Blazor itself?
So in the beginning of Blazor, there were some things that we had to use JavaScript for. The kind of
Okay.
simple things like changing the title of a page, for example. You had to do
Yeah.
that in JavaScript, which was very weird. Nowadays, most things are there are APIs inside of Blazor, or there are ways of doing it from inside of Blazor. So nowadays, I would say for a production-ready app, let's say a line of business app, I would argue that there is 0 to very, very little JavaScript involved. Sometimes we need to do something that is a little bit strange, if you will. Let's say that we have I only can come up with bad examples here, but let's say that we have we need to click something, and when we do, something is going to show up. This is pretty easy to do with Blazor as well, but some people prefer doing JavaScript calls to do that, for example. But for the most parts, I would say no JavaScript. There's also component libraries. So all major component library vendors has a Blazor library as well. I'm talking about Progress Telerik, Syncfusion, DevExpress. All of these major players do have or offer a Blazor library. Same thing goes, there's a lot of open source libraries as well. And why I'm mentioning that is because I would say all of them is using JavaScript in some way or form. But I don't have to write that. The people that knows how to make components have written that for me.
Oh, yeah.
So in
you
a
just
Blazor,
use it. You
yeah,
just reuse that
exactly.
component like a library or something, or API.
Yeah. So depending on how you see it, in a production line of business app that are using a component vendor library, yes, in that case, JavaScript is involved, but I don't have to write JavaScript. There's also like, okay, let's think about, let's compare the frameworks. I mean, Angular, React, well, they are basically only JavaScript or TypeScript. Blazor is almost only C#, and then there are some other there are some other things that you might want to do that you might need to go the JavaScript route. One typical would be, okay, so I have this really cool JavaScript library and I want to continue using that library. Well, then you have to go with JavaScript, of course. I would say that if you have a library that you're really fond of and you really want to use it, you should grab that one and then build a Blazor component out of that. Still using the JavaScript stuff and stuff like that, but abstract it away from the end user or the end developer, I guess. So the developers don't have to think about that.
Yeah, I guess you have to think of which one of the libraries or APIs is more up to date, whether it's Blazor is more up to date in the community, always like updating, then you'll be using Blazor over JavaScript. So I guess you'll like the resources as well, documentation.
And I mean, documentation is there's a lot of documentation out there, and when it comes to these, I mean, if we're choosing a third-party vendor, in that case, there's a lot of free stuff out there. There is a lot of non-free stuff out there, and I mean, you just have to think about where you want to spend your money, basically, because the free stuff, well, it comes at a price as well, because you need to think if there's something broken, you need to fix it, or you can rely on the community. On the other hand, we have these major component vendors, which is, if you're paying them, they are going to help you solving your problem. So there is
Yeah, 50-50. Depends on
Yeah, I mean,
if you
there
want to go
is.
open source or you want to pay something to get more value from it, or you get up to date, get like you get more support or something if you want
Yeah,
any with libraries.
I mean, there is a saying, there's nothing like a free lunch, and I think that is true even for open source libraries, that there is a cost of using them as well. Now, I would argue that the ones I've been using in the Blazor in the Blazor community is pretty good, to be honest. So
Okay.
for most developers, I think they're going to be fine using any third-party vendor, really, because they have a lot of stuff out there. When it comes to picking the right one, I would argue try to figure out what kind of components you need, that you want to use, and then choose the vendor depending on that. Because
Okay.
either vendor you choose, you're gonna get the great component. But it also depends on, do they have what you need? Almost every single third-party vendor that I've used has had something that annoys me. So, oh, they're doing
Yeah,
it this way. Okay.
yeah, it could be like the support agreement is different, those things as well. So it could be various
Yeah,
different
yeah.
things.
But my absolute tip here would be, if you're using a third-party vendor, either paid or free, always add an abstraction layer. So let's say that we have a text box component. Add your own layer on top of that, because there's almost always going to be things that you do over and over again. So let's say that you have a text box component and you always want to set a style, or
Yeah.
maybe you want to set a Mud Blazor, for example, has different kinds of styles on the component, material, and a couple of different other styles that I can't remember from the top of my head. But you always want to set that on all your components. Well, if you abstract that away and you create your own abstraction on top of that, you can just set it once. And every time you're using your abstraction, that value is going to be set.
Oh, it's like a theme. If you set a theme to a certain style, a background, you change it. It happens with every other application as well.
For
Yeah,
in every component.
component.
And you can do that. That style is just one of them. There
Yeah,
can be other stuff as well. Mud Blazor has a very weird way of. Let me see how I should put this. When it comes to Blazor, there are three things that change a value in a component. It's expression. Let me see if I can remember all of them. It's expression. I can't remember all of them.
yeah. It's okay. It's just we would know that there's three things.
Yeah, it's three things.
Yeah,
I'm totally blanking on the names right now.
no worries.
But they're using one of them. They're calling it for, but
Yeah.
if the naming of that thing would be value expression instead, that would just work. We wouldn't have to set that manually. So that's also one of the things that you can fix by using your own abstraction on top of it. You can. I don't like how they do this. Hey, let's fix it. There's also, I told a friend about this a week ago or so, and he was like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Because that means that at any point, if I want to change from Mud Blazor to Progress Telerik or whatever it may be, I can just do that. And that is not the point. It's a It's true, you could, but that is not why you do it. You do it because you want to do it with a smart default values, and also lock it down, because these third-party vendors components are made for all use cases, not just your use case. And by just exposing the things that you want us to use, you want the team to use, in that case, the team is going to do everything the same way. You're not going to have a developer on the team going, oh, this is a cool property, let's use that one. Well,
Oh
you're
yeah,
not going to
you
be
need
able to
to
do that.
you need to standardize the theme or thing components. So
Exactly.
it's like a module really. It's just like keep reusing it or something like a templates really.
Yeah, yeah.
So speaking of the presenter, do you do? I take it you work with Blazor every day at your workplace.
Yes.
So do you use if other programming language as well, or you just use Blazor itself to develop application or it could create?
For our company, we are using Angular and Blazor. That's the two
Okay.
front end framework that is approved in the office. For me or for my team, we're working on a Blazor application mostly. We also have WPF applications that we're working with. I'm coming in as I've been working with Blazor for so long, so
Yeah.
putting me on these other technologies would be basically a waste of time. Because again, the uphill battle, I need to learn
Yeah.
Angular. I don't know Angular. I would
Yeah.
probably be able to do it in a reasonable amount of time, but I mean, putting me in the Blazor project would make more sense. So
Yeah,
for
that's true.
me, I'm working with Blazor full time, basically.
Okay. So what's a typical day look like for you, Jamie? Is it just like pick up like an issue and then working on a project?
For me, it's I basically have two roles. I'm the lead developer 50%,
Yeah.
and then I'm a developer 50%. So I have 50% where I'm kind of trying to figure out, well, I'm 100% lead developer, but 50% of my time should be focused on lead stuff.
Yeah.
So there I'm trying to figure out where the team is moving, that we're moving the team in the right direction, that we're using the right technologies. I've spent parts of the weekend actually to look into OpenTelemetry with Blazor, because I think that is the way that we all should use handle our logging, and we are doing some work with the logging. So I'm let's put some time into that and figure that thing out. So that's part of the workday, and then we have the other part where it is exactly as you mentioned. We're using Azure DevOps. There
Yeah.
is a product backlog item. I pick it up. I solve it, or I pick it up and then spend some time refining it, asking the stakeholders, finding out what do you need. Do you need this? Do you need that? And I mean, I've been working in the industry for so long, so I know that a product backlog item isn't always what they want or need. So kind of challenging the product backlog item a little bit is very beneficial, I think. So kind of okay. I have an example. This was way back when, and we were building this was a previous company altogether. We were building a WPF app, I think, and the item said we need to be able to export the data to Excel. Okay, We could have done that,
Yeah.
but we kind of went, okay, so why do you need Excel? What is the system not supporting you with? And they say, well, we want to be able to kind of see how many rows there are. So basically, we had a system. There were a lot of things in that system, and they wanted to know how many things there were.
Yeah.
And we were like, we can just add a counter for that. Oh, you can. That would be amazing. So we added a counter for that. Then the item surfaced again. Oh, we need to be able to export it to Excel. And we were like, we just closed that one. We didn't have to. Well, now we do. Okay. So what do you need? Well, we want to be able to count how many of these items has a certain status. And again, we were like, we can just add a counter for that. Oh, you can. That would be awesome. And this continued over and over again. So kind of challenging the need really helps. Now,
it's unless someone write the issue in Azure DevOps that users want it exported in Excel, then you can't complain with that. But unless they tell you why you need it.
Exactly. And that is such an important thing when it comes to everything in life, really. If you tell me the why, I can tell you the how.
Yeah, and the best reason. Okay. So from your experience of creating application or creating products using Reactor, what are some of the best challenging things that you had to overcome during your time, and then so that people can learn from it?
Okay. Great question.
It could be like challenging things of like maybe writing components, writing something.
Yeah.
Like people can reuse, maybe standardize within your team. It could be.
The thing that has been the most challenging and most fun is one of my side projects. And when I was 7 years old, my mom and dad got me my first computer.
Okay.
I think I have it. I do. Here. It says ZX Spectrum.
That's quite old.
It is old, and so am I.
Yeah.
This is from 1982.
Okay.
And so I got my first computer.
Does it still work?
I assume so.
Oh,
I haven't fired it up, but last time I checked it, it did work.
Nice.
So I got that, and I remember I sat down, I wrote 10 print Jimmy, 20 go to 10. So it was just writing Jimmy over and over and over again. And that was also the moment when I realized that I wanted to become a developer. Now, fast forward a million years, it seems.
Yeah.
I became a C# developer, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool to kind of build an emulator for the ZX Spectrum? So I picked up a book containing all the assembler instructions, and I went through page, next page, until I went through the whole book. And then I was, okay, great. This is working. So I have this emulator running in basically all the different .NET technologies that I've found over the years.
Okay.
I've been running it on HoloLens. I've been running it on Blazor. I had it running on, what was that called? Not Nano Framework, .NET Micro Framework. And all of these different platforms I have it running on. And when Blazor came out, that was no exception. So I thought it would be kind of cool to get it working inside of Blazor. Now, when it comes to Blazor, we do have a couple of different ways of running Blazor. One of them is WebAssembly. So WebAssembly is typically used when you do a lot of updates and you're doing it fast. It's running inside of the web browser on your machine. So it's the best way of doing many things fast. And the ZX Spectrum, it was using the frame rate of your TV. So it was 50 frames per second in Sweden. So 50 times per second, it needed to do something and produce a frame.
Yeah.
So that means that approximately 10,000, that is not, it differs depending on the instruction, but approximately 10,000 instructions per 20 milliseconds. So every frame update, it did 10,000 instructions and generated sound and generated an image. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. So this became kind of I wanted to see if I can push Blazor to work with that. Mm-hmm. So I needed it to be fast. I needed it to paint the canvas. I needed it to send audio to the web browser and play the audio. And I didn't want to have any lag if possible. And all of this within 20 milliseconds.
Nice.
So Blazor has something called ahead of time compile, which is basically taking all the .NET code and converting it to WebAssembly. And WebAssembly is fast. It's almost near native speeds, they call it.
So I take it WebAssembly is another library of Blazor?
WebAssembly is one way of running Blazor.
Okay.
We can come back to that in just a minute. So basically what all of this is, I had to do canvas painting. And I did that using a WebAssembly library called Skia or Skia Sharp. I'm sending raw bytes to the web browser using JavaScript to play the sound. I have connected it using, what is that called? Gamepad, I think. Gamepad web APIs in the web browser so that I can use a gamepad and play games and stuff like that. And also on top of that, I needed to capture the keyboard and send that to the emulator. So there was a lot of things, moving parts that I needed to get up and running. And pushing Blazor really to its limits, to be honest, because there's, 10,000 instructions every 20 milliseconds all the time. If it takes 21 milliseconds at any point in time, the sound is going to sound very, very weird. So it needs to be perfect. So that has definitely been my biggest challenge. But let's back up then. Let's come back to your question here. So Blazor has a couple of different ways of running hosting models. They used to be called hosting models. I think they're calling it render modes now.
Yeah.
So on the far end, we have SSR, so server-side rendered. And there are two flavors of that. It's static server-side rendering, and it's streaming server-side rendering. So these two are rendering on the server, just taking these Blazor components or Razor components, rendering the HTML, sending it to the web browser. Disconnecting, nothing else is going to happen. If I click the buttons, nothing is going to happen. It's just static server-side rendering. The second one is streaming server-side rendering. And in that case, the server generates some data, but let's say that at some point during that rendering, we go to the database. We do an async call.
Yeah.
The server is then going to send what it has right now. So I have this stuff. I'm waiting for some more stuff, but you can get that. So it's streaming the content. We're getting some content. Once the database is done, it's then going to do another fetch call and send more stuff over to the web browser, and more, as much as it needs, because it's streaming the data. Which is a really cool thing, because you get that interactive feeling, the things happening on the screen, but there's nothing really interactive about it. Same thing here. If I click the button, nothing happens because it's server-side rendered, but in this case it's streaming from the server. Nothing is going the other way around. So those are the far end there. Now, if you go a little bit further, we can talk. There's also something called Blazor server or interactive server. So in this case, we got interactivity. The server or the web browser is connected to the server via SignalR. So this means that we have to have a connection, and we need to have that connection always running. So if we have some problem with the internet, the connection is going to go down and the page is not going to work. The state is also kept on the server. So say that you have 10,000 users, not going to be a problem. If you have 1 million users, you might suddenly need to bump up the server just a little bit, because all that stuff is going to be kept in memory on the server. Because as I mentioned, with the shadow DOM and all of that stuff, that is kept on the server.
But that might be more expensive, right, if you do something in Azure. But if you do like async method, put the data somewhere else, it's probably cheaper in a way because you do another action or another call.
Absolutely. And then we have the even further away, we have the WebAssembly one. So in this case, what Steve Sanderson did back in 2017, I believe, he took a open source project of the .NET runtime, and he compiled that. That was written in C, so he compiled that to WebAssembly, and so the runtime is running in WebAssembly.
Okay.
Then it's running the .NET libraries. It's the same NuGet package, NuGet packages that you can get from NuGet. It's the same C# that you're running on your desktop machine. It's the same DLLs. Nothing fancy about these DLLs. So the runtime WebAssembly, and then it's running your .NET DLLs.
Does that mean for test application, you need a WebAssembly package locally to test it?
What do you mean with testing?
Like if you were test something in like locally to see if it's running in Circle application, would you need the WebAssembly package or something?
You need the so everything with WebAssembly stuff. Blazor is going to provide you with it out of the box, so you don't need to think about that at all. And here's the really cool part, because in .NET 8 they introduced something called a web app template. So this is a template, file new template, web app Blazor web app template, and it will give you the ability to just switch between all of this. So you can basically say, okay, now I'm running this project. It's going to pre-render the content. So we're going to use the SSR that I mentioned in the beginning to kind of send over a finished version of the page. So we're going to get snappy loading. It's going to load very, very fast to the web browser. Then either SignalR can hook up and we can get that server, Blazor server rendering, or we can say, you know what, I don't want Blazor server, I want to use WebAssembly at this point. Then it's going to take a little bit of time because it needs to download all the WebAssembly parts. It needs to download the DLLs, the framework DLLs, and then Blazor WebAssembly is going to kick in. And then there are the auto mode. So that's a combination of the two, or the three actually. So it's first going to pre-render the stuff. So quick onto this on the screen stuff happening. Then the first time you visit the site is going to hook up SignalR. So you're going to get fast response time. You're going to get fast interactivity. Then in the background, it's downloading all the WebAssembly, all the DLLs, everything that it needs. So the next time you visit the site, it's going to have all that stuff downloaded already and boot up WebAssembly.
So it's similar to caching, right? It save it or something. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not using the web browser's cache because that is too unreliable. It's using its own cache mechanism and making sure that all the things are fingerprinted and stuff like that, so that it knows that, okay, this file is, I can grab this from the cache, but this file I need to download again. So all of these different ways of running Blazor. And then on top of that, we have the, I don't even know how many we talked about, the last one, the Blazor Hybrid. So Blazor Hybrid is the ability to run Blazor projects from .NET MAUI. So that means that we can reach desktop, we can reach macOS, Tizen, we can reach the web using, well, Blazor Server or Blazor WebAssembly, and we can reach Windows, we can reach iOS, Android devices, all of these different devices. If .NET MAUI can reach it, so can we using Blazor. So now we can build one component, run it server-side rendered, server-side streaming, Blazor server-side as Blazor server rendered, so with SignalR, Blazor WebAssembly with WebAssembly, or inside of .NET MAUI. Same component, exactly the same DLLs can run on all of these platforms, which is kind of mind-blowing to me.
Wow, it's quite powerful in that way.
It's a really great time to be a Blazor developer, to be honest.
Yeah. So aside from, you want to just dive into some of the community work that you've done in Blazor. So I saw that you wrote some book, and you did public speaking as well. Do you want to dive into that first?
Yeah, sure. So I've written a book, Web Development with Blazor. It's actually behind me here, somewhere there.
Yeah.
It is the so I've written 3 books at this point in time.
Nice. Wow.
It's three editions, so it's the same book but 3 different editions. These are also the only Blazor books with a raccoon on the cover, which is obviously the most important part.
Yes. There's anyone listening, if you go to Amazon, search for raccoon Blazor, you can probably find the one Jimmy's talking about.
I wonder if that actually, we should definitely get that search keywords in there. I'm not sure that raccoon is one of them, but it definitely should. So those 3 books is out there, you should probably grab the latest one because it's things happens between them. I just signed a contract to do a 4th book, which is going to be .NET 10. And it is scheduled to come out, I would say. Okay, so there is a schedule and there's a reality. The schedule says March. Reality is probably a little bit later.
Yeah,
but March is the goal. So we're basically waiting for .NET to drop, because until November, we don't know if things going to change along the way. So until that Microsoft really signs off on the delivery, I'm not going to start changing stuff.
Okay, so is it just about .NET and Blazor, like how you get started? Bit let little. Would it have any labs for people to test on, like do their own exercise as well?
Yeah, so the book itself is built up into chapters, as books are.
Yeah.
But for each chapter, we're talking about the technology and we're implementing it. So let's say
Okay.
there is a chapter on JavaScript interrupts, for example. And in that chapter, we are starting to delete things in the database. And when we click the delete button, it's going to show up a JavaScript dialog saying, okay, are you sure you want to delete this? So we are building a blog engine, at least in the first 3 books. I'm not sure about the 4th. Probably going to have the same project, but we'll see. So we're building a blog engine. So every single chapter introduces a new technology, and we are adding it to this blog engine. Then I also have 3 courses now on Dome Train. So getting started, deep dive, and authentication.
So is that like training course like Pluralsight or?
Yes.
Okay.
But this is Nick Shapsa's platform, so
Okay.
he's concentrating on there are some differences between Pluralsight. It's just not a new Pluralsight. It's
Okay.
a little bit better, if I may say so myself. So there's I got those out there as well.
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm trying to share knowledge as best as I can. So our YouTube channel, Coding After Work, got some videos there. I'm trying to get a video out per week. That is not going to be true for this week, though, or next week, because, things has been a little bit hectic.
So
But otherwise,
what's
trying to push one video a
so,
week.
oh, is the YouTube all about the podcast what we mentioned before, or is it just talk about uh, Blazor and .NET?
Both, actually.
Okay.
So the YouTube channel, Coding After Work, that's mostly Blazor or .NET content.
Yeah.
We've done some stream previously. We haven't done that in a while, but we're gonna start that up at any point now. So we're doing streams where we code and videos where I show some basic concepts. Then we have the podcast, and the podcast is not a video podcast. It's an audio podcast. So
Okay.
that part you can find out where podcasts are. So that's called Coding After Work as well. So we're doing it under the same umbrella basically. So it's me and my wife.
Yeah.
We're doing the podcasting and the videos together. So
Nice. How would if someone want to get started in a programming language like Blazor, do you think they should know JavaScript or .NET first, or just go straight into Blazor?
it is definitely better to know .NET.
Yeah.
You don't have to know JavaScript because for 99% of the applications, you don't need JavaScript. If you find yourself that, okay, so this problem, I need to use JavaScript, you might be wrong.
Yeah.
There is very when I talk to a lot of people, they often go down the JavaScript route very quickly. Well, I needed to do this, so JavaScript. And I'm like, wait. Why are you doing that particular thing? We talked about that earlier with a button, and you need to show something up, right?
Yeah.
That I've seen JavaScript solutions so many times, but that's an if statement in Blazor. So if I click the button,
Okay.
we change a bool to true.
Yeah.
It's going to show you have an if statement around that. You're going to show the content. So there's a lot of things that you think you might need JavaScript for, but you really don't. There is a Blazor solution for that as well. Or you can go CSS, pure CSS solutions, or whatever it may be. There are almost always a way around it. So no, you don't need to know JavaScript. .NET is definitely good to know, because this is ASP.NET in the end, right? You might want to build some APIs, for example. That is not part of Blazor, that's part of ASP.NET. You might want to add my fantasy is going here. Whatever you want to add,
Yeah.
it might be an ASP.NET thing and not a Blazor thing. So knowing ASP.NET is definitely a plus, and I think that it's a good way to start. I've talked to some developers, and they are struggling if they just go in to Blazor directly, because they don't know the ecosystem at all. So these are very new developers that just want to dive into Blazor. But I think C#, step 1, C#, step 2, ASP.NET, step 3, Blazor.
Yeah, but I guess it's like which language, like the specific program is under. Like if it's already developed using Blazor, you might as well continue like use Blazor for it. But if it's already you started with JavaScript, you just want to fix an issue, you might as well just use JavaScript for it. It just depend on the fundamental of the team, how they use how is it created.
Absolutely. I mean, if your team is proficient in JavaScript,
Yeah.
don't switch. But I can share a story. So this happened to a colleague of mine. We were moving some data between two companies, and our company was packaging all the data and sending it to the other company. And they sat in a meeting, and the developer from the other company, he was like, well, I just whipped a Blazor site together to kind of handle the data that you send us. And my colleague was, oh, awesome, a fellow Blazor developer. So tell me, do you use Blazor a lot? And he was like, no, I don't. I'm a React developer. My colleague was like, what? So why are you using Blazor then? And he was like, well, for this project, I needed to get something up and running fast. So a seasoned React developer that was doing React development every single day of the week felt that it would be faster for them to just spin up a Blazor site. That was mind-blowing to me. So it doesn't need to be that your team is a .NET only team or React team or Angular team.
Yeah.
You might actually get a benefit from using Blazor, even if you're based in another language like TypeScript or JavaScript or Angular or React.
Okay. So as this episode is coming to an end, we always love to get to know our guests. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what's that red light behind you? Blurry light.
Let me see.
Is it like Philip Hughes or something? Or is it
It
just
is a Philips Hue.
it's like Captain America thing. You got a
Yeah.
shield and then you got
It is
okay.
it's a Philips Hue. What is that called? Oh, I don't remember the name. It's looked like a round ball.
Yeah.
So that's the. It's battery powered as well. It's powered and battery powered as well.
But do you have to turn it off or is it always on?
It is so. We I don't know if I can still say just moved into a new house, because it's
Okay.
been 1.5 years or something like that. But we still have boxes that are not packed, unpacked. So I guess as long as they're still there. But when we moved into our new house, I made it my mission that every single light in here should be controlled by technology. I should not have to go up and turn on or off a light. So everything, not entirely true, but most things so far are controlled via Home Assistant. So if there is a light, if we bring in a new light into the home, it's definitely going to be controlled by some kind of
Nice.
smart device. We still
Yeah.
have some spotlights and stuff in the kitchen that we haven't switched out yet, but we're working on it.
Yep. And I take it you're like you're uh, you're an action figures and stuff, like you like Avengers and stuff.
I do.
Yeah.
We have a segment on our show, our podcast, where we ask Marvel or DC. So my
Okay.
wife really enjoy Marvel and I really enjoy DC. We both enjoy Marvel and DC, but I'm more a Batman guy and Jessica, my wife, is more Marvel centric. But as you can see behind me here, I mean, Captain America's shield, that's Marvel. I
Yeah.
have a little bit further down. Let's see if I can show that as well. I have Iron Man there.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of weird that and Jessica's office setup actually has Harley Quinn in the background. So it's kind of weird. But yes, I do enjoy superhero movies, definitely.
Okay. So what I take it, what do you normally do in your spare time? That's,
So my spare time, usually I end up programming in one way or another because that's the thing that I enjoy the most. Now, since we moved, there are things that I should be doing, like cutting the lawn and stuff like that. So there is one part of my spare time is like just keeping the house standing. It is a very nice house, but still there's a lot of stuff that goes into having a house. And then on the other side, well, I'm doing development, I'm teaching, I'm doing these dom train courses, the book, all of these different things. That's on my spare time.
nice. I guess you get quite busy, but you still love it, so you try to be active, do what you can.
That is definitely the problem with everything that I do, that I really enjoy it. And I just love sharing content, because somewhere out there is a developer getting that content and kind of getting that epiphany. Perhaps it's the oh, I want to become a developer, or maybe it's, oh, Blazor looks fantastic, that is going to solve so many problems. So I really love sharing knowledge because, well, somewhere out there someone is getting that epiphany. I hope, at least.
Okay. So thanks for joining this episode. It's amazing to get to know get to know Blazor and what you do, and a bit of like WebAssembly, because my first time hearing about it. So hope other people enjoy and learn something from Jimmy. So any question, you can just drop him a message or search for his books or any query.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.